welcome to ET Auto and to another episode of Target Net Zero, a special series of discussions with industry leaders wherein we take stock of the progression of the automotive industry towards the ultimate goal of going carbon neutral. So last year, luxury car major BMW placed sustainability at the heart of the group's strategic orientation. And it plans to have a carbon neutral, and it plans to go carbon neutral across the business chain by the year 2050. To tell us more about how this huge organization is going towards achieving its targets one by one, and what are the strategies being adopted towards that, we have with us Ms. Ilka Horstmeier, who is the board member of BMW Group. Ilka, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us for this discussion.
Good morning, Sumantra. Thank you for inviting me.
And I believe you just handed over the awards for the year 2020 of the annual Intercultural Innovation Award, and that's why you're in Dubai, right?
Yes, we're in Dubai here to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the award. It's the Intercultural Innovation Award, which we reward together with the United Nations Alliance of Civilization to really foster intercultural understanding and mutual respect, because we truly believe that this is the basis to solve the future problems, especially, of course, climate change, which is one of the major topics which has to be handled for our generation.
Right. And I mean, sustainability is more important as a theme of every aspect of life, more so for business like the automotive industry, which is one of the key emitters of carbon CO2. So therefore, tell us, I mean, from a BMW's perspective, what is the organization's approach towards enhancing sustainability?
I think first of all, we have to understand that just building electric cars doesn't mean that you're a sustainable company. There's a lot more to do, but of course, building electric cars is one point of this. First of all, I think you mentioned it already. We have a clear target to become carbon neutral latest in 2050 over the whole supply chain and the whole value chain. But it's not just setting targets for 2050. We set clear targets until 2030. So we want to reduce the carbon footprint of our cars per vehicle by 40% until 2030. And to achieve this, we have to do a lot of work building electric cars, putting electric cars to the market. There's a clear target to have 10 million EVs in the market in 2030. That's one thing. Of course, to reduce heavily on the production side our carbon footprint, which we have done already in the past, and it's a continuous journey there. And I think the most important and most difficult aspect to achieve this target is to reduce the carbon footprint in the supply chain. And there you have two key drivers. One, of course, is to use green energy in the supply chain and the production of the components in the supply chain. And the second is to think about circularity and to use more secondary material, because we all know that the carbon footprint of secondary material is much less, and many of the resources we need are scarce. So that's our approach to it. And this is only the ecological side of sustainability. There's also a social side. That's the reason why, for example, we're here in Dubai at the moment and awarding these great projects. And of course, there's an economical side of this. So all the three build the basis for
this three-pronged approach towards sustainability, right? For BMW, ecological, social, and economic.
And even only if you serve all three the best way, you can claim yourself a sustainable company.
And I believe going by your earlier stated vision, BMW Group plans to be the world's most sustainable automotive industry player.
That's it. And there you have to do a lot more. And of course, as the head of HR, I'm mainly responsible for the social side. And I think we built a very strong basis for that already for a long time. As I said, the Intercultural Innovation Award is 10 years old. So intercultural innovation is one of our pillars with regard to social responsibility. The other one is, of course, education. We are running a lot of educational projects in many countries where we are operating. Leadership development is very, very important. So also the people who are awarded by the Intercultural Innovation Award are supported for 1 year, but they're also part of the Intercultural Leadership Network run by the United Nations. So they get access to other leaders and can connect and really become more impactful. And on the other hand, also we are close cooperation with the One Young World, which is encouraging young leaders under 35 to take their responsibility for the future of our planet. So that's leadership. And the last one, it's culture and arts.
Right. Indeed. It's absolutely important to take a very holistic approach, including the other aspects, other kind of stakeholders in the society towards as the world moves towards addressing the challenges, the climate challenges. And from a business perspective, of course, stated clear-cut goals are very necessary, as you have mentioned in BMW's case also. 20% CO2 reduction in supply chain, around 80% reduction in the vehicle production stage. And interestingly, you have mentioned about around 50% reduction in the use phase in the period of 2019 to 2030.
Yeah, in the use phase, I think it's very important. And that's the reason why we are now in the middle of the second phase of our electromobility offensive. So there will be 25 electrified cars in the market in 2023. And with the new cluster architecture, with our new architecture coming in 2025, we will have then our path ready for the 10 million EVs in the market in 2030. So the 50% is driven, of course, by cars going to the market, but it's also driven, and we have to say that very clearly, by green energy used in the cars to drive them. And so I can only say that we need this green energy not only in the supply chain, we need it, of course, for the usage of the car. And this should encourage all the governments across the world to look about that prerequisite. Because otherwise we hit targets but meet the point or don't meet them or miss the point.
Miss the point. Absolutely. Kind of setting targets is one thing. Achieving or having clear-cut plans and moving at the right pace is equally, in fact, more important and perhaps a little bit more challenging than setting the target. And in talking about setting targets, it seems to me that BMW Group is setting some very tall targets for itself. Not only is it planning to, it wants to become the world's most sustainable automotive industry player, but I was just reading in a presentation, your chairman, Mr. Zipse, had mentioned that the greenest electric car will be made by BMW.
Absolutely. And I mentioned it already. To build the greenest car, it's not enough just to have an electrical powertrain there or power it by electricity. So you have to really rethink the whole car. And that's what we showed at the BMW, at the IAA Mobility in Munich just in September with the BMW iVision Circular, that you really have to rethink the whole car from the material you use, and it's best to reduce material with a negative carbon footprint, and or with the high carbon footprint, I would say. And the second thing is, of course, you have to rethink the car in the way that you can reuse the material you use in the car. For example,
the recyclability of the car has to go up.
And then at the end of the day, of course, you have to think about recycling. Yeah, but this is the last step. First, you should reduce the material. Secondly, you should reuse it, and thirdly, you should then recycle it. And I think the idea is to think about this from the very beginning of the development of the car, because otherwise you have no chance. And you have to think about material that can be recycled, that can be reused. Yeah, and this is the way we are going forward. That's the reason why Mr. Zipse said that we will have the most greenest car in the world.
So I would assume that at the R&D engineering stage, those processes are already in place, wherein you will have You'll build cars with a higher green quotient in terms of reused parts and higher recyclability quotient, right? And then in the upcoming models.
Yeah, you said it already. We put targets on everything, also on that the use of secondary material. Today, our cars on average have about 30% secondary material, and we want to come up to 50%. And also with the next generation of our cars, we will make a big step on that. But as I said, you have to rethink it from the very early stage of a car. Otherwise, you won't achieve it. And I think what is important to achieve this, it's really dramatically important to cooperate even more with different sectors because we need to have the recycled material, we need to have the way of recycling material. So we need different competencies with our partners to go that way. It's not just an easy thing that we can do on our own. And so we are really welcome everybody to join in that journey to circularity.
Indeed, all these targets, all these steps and plans are absolutely valuable. But at the end of the day, you need that mindset of a very aligned mindset in an organization and its stakeholders, between the organization and the outside stakeholders, like in your case, the supply chain maybe. So since you are responsible for the HR part in the organization, so tell us about how are you building an organization-wide mindset of sustainability? Because the more aligned the people in their organizations are, the better chance of success, right?
I think what is really absolutely important is to answer the question why. And many people at BMW are very, very motivated to deliver the best cars. And we truly believe that individual mobility remains a human need also in the future. And we have no indication that this is not the case. So we are working on this quite heavily. But everybody knows in BMW, and I think also above, that sustainability mobility has to change with regard to climate change. So it's a good reason for many people to work for BMW, even for young people, even for people who like Fridays for Future and other organizations, to work for BMW because there they can work on solutions. And I think it's always good to go on the street and raise awareness, but somebody has to work on solutions. And that's what I'm saying is you need to explain the reason why. I think everybody understood that mobility has to change. And people at BMW really want to make a change and want to work on solutions on how to maintain the freedom of individual mobility by transforming it to more sustainable mobility. And I give you a good example. We have a cooperation with the One Young World, which is an organization that really encourages young leaders to contribute to the big topics of our world. And we have a lot of people in BMW. We're sending delegates every year. And we have a lot of people in BMW who really now start to work and push us on the sustainability side. For example, there was a young lady 2 years ago. She developed on her own a floor mat made of recycled material and recyclable material. So she reduced the carbon footprint of this, and now it's going into 3.4 million cars. And this year, One Young World, we had two people, a young engineer, a young material engineer, a young designer. They cooperated to come up with an idea of a substitute for leather in Mini. So they're working heavily on this. And this is the mindset we need. And for me, if people come to BMW to make a change on sustainable mobility, then I think I would be very happy as a head of HR.
Also tell us from a HR perspective, have you started adopting or implementing new HR best practices to promote and encourage sustainability as a way of life within and outside the organization?
I think to promote it inside the organization, as I said, we are running, for example, a sustainable innovation challenge for the people who go to or want to go to the One Young World. So it's an incentive to work on projects, really to get the chance to be part of that big network, that leadership network, One Young World. That's one thing. On the other hand, of course, social responsibility is a big pillar in our sustainability strategy. So what we did is this year, because we know that our people really want to contribute, we are running we ran this year our first social week. So we encouraged our people to contribute themselves, to get information about how they contribute, because many people want to do something, but they don't really know how to get access to it. Yeah, and so that was very successful. We reached many people, and we did some precise activities in that week. So like testing activities for people to engage, like waste collection and these kind of things. And I think these are two little examples to show that we are really trying to encourage our people to contribute to sustainability on the social and on the ecological side. And on the other hand, of course, with our corporate citizenship activities worldwide, we are always looking for projects who really make an impact. And I think we awarded 10 great projects yesterday with the Intercultural Innovation Award. So it's an internal approach, but it's also an external approach.
That's good to know. And also tell us, I mean, from a HR practices and strategies perspective, what are the kind of key impact you have seen of the global pandemic from which we are kind of emerging right now? What's the impact it has had on the HR practices and strategies broadly, you can see?
First of all, I was very impressed how we cope with the situation, how the whole international network of BMW cope with the situation. I think it showed that BMW is very flexible and resilient in a way, and everybody, especially the people in India, I spoke to them very often. They cope with the situation quite well. It was a huge one effort strategy, or not strategy, it was a huge one effort thing happening, and people supporting each other and trying to get the company through this. Yeah, always taking care of the people, the health and safety of the people, and on the other hand, of course, taking care of business continuity, because we didn't want to stop BMW. There's no time to stop anything, and especially not the climate targets. So that was one thing. Secondly, I think everybody recognized that remote work is possible, and to a larger extent than we saw it in the past. So especially BMW India did a great job in working on this. So we had a remote launch qualification for the next model being launched in Chennai. And so they did it just remote with the guys from AG. And it was really fantastic. I think it was the first time, but it worked out quite well. Yeah? And also our salespeople, they did a great job in virtual handovers and these kind of things. So there's a lot of opportunities. And now, I think now we learn from this, and we have to transform it in daily business, or we have to think about what is now the best for the new normal. And at BMW, we are pretty sure, because people are talking about home office all the time. Yeah, I think home office is interesting. Yeah, but for us, the gravity center of identification with the company, the gravity center for creativity, and the gravity center for collaboration is in the company. So combined with virtual and hybrid work, this is our concept for the future, and it has to be very individualized, because we have so many different tasks within BMW. So there's no one size fits all, and we call this connected works. And we are now working on this quite intensively with all our regions to implement a tailor-made work environment and a tailor-made working setup to really meet the targets of BMW and to achieve the best for the company.
And you said there, I mean, there's no one size fits all, be it in terms of running an organization, or be it in terms of addressing and meeting this whole global challenge of climate crisis. So good to know about thanks for sharing your thoughts and the information about how BMW as a group is taking steps towards reducing its carbon footprint, and with the eventual goal of being carbon neutral latest by 2050. But before we let you go, Ilka, I would like to know, India is not a very big market for luxury cars, but generally, but in terms of from a BMW perspective, BMW at one point was leading the market, but no more. But now its kind of performance is again coming back. Volumes are on the rise. So what is the outlook for India at the BMW headquarters?
The outlook is very positive because next year we will have the BMW iX coming to the market, the mini electric coming to the market. So we are very positive about the development, and you can be very sure that we won't rest until we are back at number one position in the country.
And in that respect, your new electric cars will play a key role. Will be there the key drivers?
Definitely, all over the world, and I hope also in India.
On that note, Ilka, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and views, and wish you a nice and safe journey back to Germany.
Thank you very much. All the best to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. And thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this episode of Target Net Zero. We are talking to Ilka Horstmeier, who is the board member of the BMW Group, responsible mainly for HR. Thank you. Take care and stay safe.